All right, so you're here with us on the deep dive because you're the kind of person who wants to get right to the point.
Cut through the noise.
Yeah, exactly. And you want that knowledge to stick.
And you want it fast.
Exactly.
Yes.
We like that. So today, let's dive into something that I think a lot of people struggle with. That feeling of hitting a wall when it comes to becoming fluent in English.
Right.
Like you've put in the work, you've maybe memorized a ton of vocab, but when it comes to actually like speaking without effort, it's just not happening.
Right. It's just not clicking.
It's not clicking.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we've got some great material for this episode, actually. It's a conversation between Emma, who is really trying hard to master English, and Jake, who speaks English fluently and is offering her some tips.
Yeah, and Emma is really at that point where it's like she's frustrated because she's studying and studying.
Right.
But it's not translating to being able to have a comfortable conversation.
Totally. And she even says it so well. She says, I study English every day. I learn new words. I even watch a bunch of English TV shows. But then when I try to have a real conversation, my mind just goes totally blank. And I think a lot of people listening can relate to that.
Absolutely.
So our mission in this deep dive is to pull out the best daily habits from Jake's advice to Emma.
Okay.
The things that can really help unlock your spoken English.
Sounds good.
So let's get right into it.
Yeah.
What's the biggest obstacle that Jake sees right away?
Okay, so what's really interesting here is that Jake immediately points out a problem that's super common, but often overlooked.
Okay.
He tells Emma, you're probably focusing too much on passive learning.
Oh, passive learning.
And not enough on active speaking practice.
Oh, that makes sense.
So think about it, like reading books, listening to podcasts, memorizing vocabulary.
Yeah.
Those are all really important, but they're mostly about receiving information.
Right.
They're not really making you produce the language.
Oh, I see.
So it's kind of like reading a book about how to ride a bike,
Yeah.
but never actually getting on a bike and trying to pedal.
Oh, I get it.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, totally. Like you can learn all the grammar rules in the world.
Right.
But if you're not actually trying to like put sentences together and make mistakes in conversation,
Yeah,
those rules are just kind of abstract ideas.
exactly.
They're not practical.
Yeah.
So what's the first thing Jake recommends to actually like start shifting away from this passive stuff and into actually speaking?
The very first habit Jake talks about is this idea of actively thinking in English.
Oh, thinking in English.
And it's actually surprisingly powerful.
Okay, but I think for a lot of people that might sound kind of intimidating.
Mhm.
Like how do you just suddenly start thinking in a different language?
Right. It can seem like a big leap.
Yeah.
But Jake actually breaks it down into some really simple starting points.
Okay.
He suggests, like, even from the very first thought you have when you wake up, instead of translating it in your head, try to form that thought directly in English. So instead of thinking whatever the equivalent is in your native language for, like, I need to get up and brush my teeth,
Right.
you just think that in English, I need to get up and brush my teeth.
That's a good point.
So you're basically trying to bypass that internal translator in your head.
I see. So it becomes less about word for word translation
Exactly.
and more about connecting the thought directly to the English.
Exactly. And by doing that consistently, you're essentially rewiring your brain to start associating those concepts with English words directly.
This is more like a reflex.
Yeah, exactly. And it actually becomes less work for your brain in the long run because you're not constantly having to translate back and forth.
That makes sense.
Yeah. And this is a really fundamental step in becoming more automatic with the language.
Right. It's like building those pathways in your brain.
Exactly.
Okay. So I like this idea.
Yeah.
So Emma actually picks up on this pretty quickly and she gives her own example.
Right.
She says, like, instead of thinking I'm hungry in her native language, she's going to consciously think I am hungry in English, which is a really simple example,
Yeah.
but it shows how powerful this shift can be.
It's about training your brain to make that direct connection between what you're feeling and the English expression for it.
Totally. And Jake actually takes this even further.
He does.
He encourages Emma, and really anyone listening, to start describing their surroundings in English.
Like, think about what you see around you
Yeah.
and just try to describe it in simple English sentences.
Okay.
So Emmy gives a great example. She says, the sky is blue and the sun is shining.
Yeah, that's perfect.
And it's such a simple sentence,
Right.
but it's a great way to start practicing this habit.
It's like you're narrating your life in English.
Exactly. And the more you do this, the more natural it will become to think in English without even realizing it.
That's really cool.
Yeah, it's all about creating that constant internal immersion in the language.
I love him. Okay, so we're thinking in English now, But what about actually speaking it out loud?
Right.
Because that feels like a big jump.
It is a big jump. And Jake actually addresses this directly with his second habit,
Okay.
which is speak out loud every day.
Speak out loud every day.
Yeah. And he knows that a lot of people are going to say, well, what if I don't have anyone to practice speaking with?
Right, because not everyone lives in an English-speaking country
Exactly.
or has English-speaking friends. So what does Jake suggest for people who are kind of on their own?
He gives a couple of techniques that are really effective,
Okay.
but they might sound a little bit intimidating at first.
Okay, I'm intrigued.
So he suggests just speaking to yourself.
Talking to yourself.
Yeah, like looking in the mirror
Uh-huh.
and just practicing different phrases and sentences.
Oh, wow.
Or even recording yourself speaking on your phone.
Oh, that's a good idea, actually.
It is. And I think Emma's reaction is something that a lot of people feel.
What did she say?
She was like, that sounds weird.
Yeah, I can totally see why someone would think that.
Yeah, it definitely feels a little strange at first.
It's like talking to yourself in the mirror. Who does that?
Exactly. But if you can push past that initial awkwardness, the benefits are huge.
Okay, so what are the benefits?
The main benefit is that you're actually training your mouth to speak English regularly.
Oh, I see.
It's about getting those muscles working.
Like a physical workout.
Yeah, exactly. And it's about getting used to forming the different sounds and putting them together into sentences.
Yeah, and the more you do it, the easier it becomes.
Right. And Jake gives this really practical example. He says, if you're cooking in the kitchen, you can just narrate what you're doing in English.
Oh, that's a good idea.
So like, now I am cutting the vegetables.
Oh, yeah.
Next, I will fry them in the hot oil.
That's brilliant because it's like you're taking something you do every day and turning it into English practice.
Exactly.
Like built-in practice.
Exactly. And there's actually another great tip that Jake gives within this habit.
Oh, what's that?
He really recommends reading a book out loud for at least 10 minutes every day.
Oh, I like that.
So this is great because it gets you speaking, but it also really helps you work on your pronunciation, your intonation, how you sound when you speak.
Right, like the music of the language.
Exactly. And it helps build your confidence in using your voice to speak English.
I think that's so important because sometimes people are just afraid to make a sound.
Absolutely.
So this is a great way to get over that fear.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, so we're thinking in English, we're speaking out loud, but then there's the issue of forgetting new words,
Right.
which Emma mentions she's struggling with.
Yeah, and that actually leads us perfectly to habit number 3.
Okay, what's number 3?
Learn phrases, not just words.
Learn phrases.
Yeah, so Jake points out that memorizing long lists of individual words,
Yeah.
it's often not very effective.
It's like they just disappear.
Exactly, you forget them quickly and you don't really know how to use them in a real conversation.
Because a word by itself doesn't always tell you how it's actually used
Exactly.
in a sentence or in real life.
Yeah. Right, so the more effective approach is to learn new words within the context of phrases.
Oh, phrases.
Yeah, so instead of just trying to memorize the word decision,
Okay.
you learn the whole phrase, make a decision.
I'll make a decision, I see.
And Emma gets this right away. She even uses it in a sentence. She says, I made a decision to study English every day.
That's a good sentence.
It is. And it shows how the phrase gives you the structure you need to actually use the word correctly.
Right, so it's not just about the word itself.
Exactly. It's about learning how the word fits into a grammatical structure and how it's used naturally in conversation.
So it's more practical.
Exactly. It helps you remember the word better and it helps you actually use it.
That makes sense.
And Jake emphasizes this idea that learning phrases helps you become more fluent more quickly.
Because you're learning chunks of language
Right.
that you can use right away.
Exactly.
Okay, cool. So we're thinking in English, we're speaking out loud, we're learning phrases now. Jake brings up a technique that I think might be new to some people. It's called shadowing.
Shadowing.
What is shadowing?
So this is habit number 4.
Okay.
And basically shadowing is when you listen to a native English speaker
Okay.
and then you try to repeat what they're saying almost at the same time.
Oh, wow. So it's like you're their shadow.
Exactly. You're trying to mimic their intonation, how their voice rises and falls, their rhythm and their pronunciation as closely as you can.
Okay. That sounds really hard.
Yeah. Emma's reaction is, that sounds tough.
Yeah, that's my reaction too.
It definitely takes some practice and focus.
So where do you even begin with something like that?
Jake recommends starting with something simple,
Okay.
like short audio clips from podcasts or YouTube videos that have subtitles.
Well, that's a good idea because then you can see the words as you're hearing them.
Right. And the process is pretty straightforward.
Yeah.
You listen to a sentence or a phrase, you pause the audio, and then you try to repeat it exactly how you heard it.
Okay. So it's about really paying attention to how the speaker sounds.
Yeah. Exactly. And the goal is not just to say the words, but to really internalize the natural flow of spoken English.
Oh, I see.
Like how the words connect and how the speaker emphasizes different parts of the sentence.
So it's about the music of the language
Exactly.
and the rhythm.
Yeah, and Jake even says to try and copy their accent as closely as possible.
Wow. Okay, so it's like you're doing an impression.
It kind of is at first, but the more you do it, the more natural it will become for you to speak with a native-like accent.
Because you're training your mouth to make those sounds.
Exactly. It's like a workout for your tongue and your lips.
Oh, that's a good analogy.
So it might feel weird at first, but it's a really powerful way to improve your pronunciation and fluency.
Okay, so we're thinking in English, we're speaking out loud, we're learning phrases, we're shadowing.
Right.
What's next?
Well, habit number 5 is all about keeping things fun and challenging.
Oh, fun.
Yeah, because learning a language shouldn't feel like a chore.
That's true.
So Jake suggests setting yourself regular speaking challenges.
Speaking challenges.
Yeah, so the idea is to challenge yourself to speak for a certain amount of time.
Okay.
Maybe just 3 minutes to start with on any topic that comes to mind.
Oh, wow. Just talk for 3 minutes straight.
Exactly. And Emma's reaction is, that sounds scary.
Yeah, I think a lot of people feel that way.
Yeah, it can be intimidating to speak freely without a script or anything.
Right.
But Jake recommends starting with easy, familiar topics,
Okay.
like my daily routine or my favorite hobby.
Oh, that makes sense.
And then as you get more comfortable, you can increase the difficulty of the topics or the length of time you speak.
So it's about gradually building your confidence.
Exactly. And it's a great way to practice putting your thoughts into words in English.
Even if those thoughts are pretty simple at first.
Right. And over time, you'll find that you can speak more fluently and for longer periods of time.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's a great way to see your progress.
Okay, so now we're getting into habit number 6, which is about writing.
Right.
And I'm curious, how does writing help with speaking?
Yeah, that's a good question. So Jake explains that writing in English helps you organize your thoughts in the language.
Oh, I see.
So even if you don't think you're a great writer,
Yeah.
the act of writing forces you to think about things like word order grammar and how to express your ideas in English.
Right, so it's like you're practicing those mental processes.
Exactly. And it doesn't have to be anything complicated.
Okay.
Emma gives the example of a really simple journal entry.
What did she say?
She said, "Today I went to the park and had ice cream."
Yeah, perfect.
So it can be as basic as that.
Just getting the words out.
Exactly. And Jake suggests trying to include any new vocabulary or phrases that you've learned that day in your journal entries.
That's a good idea.
Yeah, it's a great way to reinforce what you're learning and to make sure you're actually using those new words and phrases.
So it's like a bridge between learning and actually using the language.
Exactly.
Okay, so we've covered thinking, speaking, learning phrases, shadowing, challenging yourself, and writing.
Right.
What about creating an English-speaking environment?
Yeah, so that's habit number 7.
Okay.
And it's all about surrounding yourself with the English language as much as possible.
But what if you don't live in an English-speaking country?
That's where you have to get creative.
Okay.
So Jake gives a bunch of really practical tips,
Like what?
like changing the language settings on your phone and your social media accounts to English.
Oh, that's easy.
Yeah, it's a simple change, but it makes a big difference.
Right. You're seeing and interacting with English all the time.
Exactly. And he also suggests listening to English music and podcasts, watching English TV shows and movies,
Okay.
maybe with subtitles at first if you need them.
Yeah, that makes it easier to follow along.
Right. And he also recommends joining online English-speaking communities or groups.
Oh, that's a good idea because then you can actually practice speaking with other people.
Exactly.
So even if you're not physically in an English-speaking environment, you can still create one for yourself online.
Exactly. And Emma's reaction to this habit is great.
What does she say?
She said, "That's simple. I'll do it now."
Yeah, I love that.
She's ready to take action.
She's motivated.
Yeah, and I think that's the key takeaway from this habit.
What is it?
It's that even small changes can make a big difference.
Yeah, and it's about being proactive.
Right. You don't have to wait for the perfect opportunity to practice English.
You can create your own opportunities.
Exactly.
Okay, so we've talked about creating an immersive environment, but what about actually getting that speaking practice?
Right. So that brings us to habit number 8, which is all about finding ways to practice speaking even when you don't have a live speaking partner available.
Because that can be a real challenge for a lot of people.
It is.
So what are some of the solutions that Jake suggests?
Well, he specifically mentions language exchange apps.
Oh yeah, those are really popular.
They are, and for good reason. They connect you with other language learners around the world.
So you can practice speaking English with someone who's trying to learn your native language.
Exactly. It's a win-win situation.
I like it.
And Jake also mentions the option of using AI-powered chatbots.
Chatbots.
Yeah, there are chatbots now that are specifically designed to have conversations in English.
Oh, wow.
And they can be really helpful for practicing basic conversational skills.
So it's like having a virtual speaking partner.
Exactly. And one of the best things about chatbots is that they're available anytime.
Oh, that's so convenient.
Yeah, you can practice whenever you have a few free minutes.
And you don't have to worry about feeling self-conscious.
Right, because it's just you and the chatbot.
Yeah, and you can make mistakes without feeling embarrassed.
Exactly.
Okay, so we're almost through all 9 habits.
We are.
What's the last one?
The last one is habit number 9, and it brings us back to vocabulary.
Vocabulary.
Yeah, and Jake frames this as a fun challenge.
Oh, a challenge. I like it.
So the challenge is to learn one new word a day.
One new word a day.
And use it.
Use it. That's the key part, right?
It's not just about memorizing the definition.
It's about making it part of your active vocabulary.
Exactly. So Jake outlines this 2-part process.
Okay.
First, you find a new English word that you want to learn.
Okay.
And then you come up with at least 3 different sentences using that word.
So you're really putting it into practice.
Exactly. And he gives an example.
Well, what's the example?
He uses the word resilient,
Resilient.
which means able to recover quickly from difficulties.
Okay.
And then Emma comes up with 3 great sentences using the word.
Give me an example.
One of her sentences is, she is resilient because she never gives up.
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah, and it shows that she understands the meaning of the word and how to use it correctly in a sentence.
That's really impressive.
It is, and it shows how powerful this habit can be.
Right, because you're not just passively learning the word.
Right.
You're actively using it.
And that's how you really make it stick.
Awesome. Okay, so we've covered all 9 habits.
We have.
What's the big takeaway, the overarching message here?
The most important thing that Jake emphasizes is consistency.
Consistency.
Yeah. Emma gets really excited when she hears about all these habits.
Yeah, she's like, I'm going to do them all.
Exactly. And that's great. But Jake reminds her that fluency takes time.
Yeah, it's not going to happen overnight.
Right. And he says that the key to success is to be consistent with these habits.
So even if you just do a little bit each day, it will add up over time.
Exactly. It's about making these habits part of your daily routine.
I like that.
And Jake actually gives one final tip.
No, what's that?
He suggests trying to combine multiple habits each day.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah. So for example, you could start your day by thinking in English,
Okay.
then maybe practice some shadowing during your commute.
Uh-huh.
And then later in the day, write a few sentences in your English journal using the new word you learned.
So it's about creating a synergy between the different habits.
Exactly.
And maximizing your learning.
Exactly. And the more you can integrate these habits into your daily life, the faster you'll see results.
Okay, so let's do a quick recap of all 9 habits because there's a lot of good stuff here. Okay.
Number 1, think in English.
Number 2, speak out loud every day.
Number 3, learn phrases, not just words.
Number 4, shadow native speakers.
Number 5, challenge yourself to speak for set periods of time.
Number 6, keep a journal in English.
Number 7, create an immersive English speaking environment.
Number 8, practice speaking with language partners or chatbots.
And number 9, learn one new word a day and use it.
That's all 9.
And remember, the key to success with all of these habits is consistency.
Right.
It's not about perfection.
It's about progress.
Exactly. So as you're thinking about these 9 habits, ask yourself which ones really stand out to you. Which ones feel like you could actually do them starting today?
And start small.
Yeah, pick 1 or 2 habits and focus on those.
And build from there.
Exactly. And over time, you'll be amazed at how much progress you make.
Absolutely.
So what's the one habit that you're going to commit to today?
Yeah, think about it.
That's your first step to unlocking your English fluency.
And we'll see you next time on The Deep Dive.
Bye.